Now let us pay homage to the triple gem. Budang pujemi, Dhammang pujemi, Sanghang pujemi. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening, Bhante. Let us now respectfully invite Bhante to begin the Q&A session for this evening.
A very good evening to all pious yogis. I hope you are enjoying your practice of loving kindness, putting forth virya, effort to cultivate the wholesome thoughts of loving kindness. We shall begin our sessions of Q&A. The first question, thank you very much to Bhante and the organizers. Dear Bhante, this morning you mentioned 15 virtues and factors. May I know where can I refer? Bhante can suggest books related to Metta meditations. Meditators may refer to these two books for reference. The title of the first book is Radiating Loving Kindness by a well-known sayadaw, Sayadaw Ashin Viseta Bivangsa. Sayadaw is well known as Tabekan Sayadaw in Myanmar. So this book is about the explanations of the sutta or Karaniya Metta Sutta. Then the second book is the title is Brahma Vihara Dhamma, written by Mahasi Sayadaw. The first book, Radiating Loving Kindness, is published by Inward Path or Penang. Then the second book, Brahma Vihara Dhamma, written by Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw. You may get this book from Selangor Buddhist Vipassana Meditation Society. This book is about the practice of four Brahma Viharas, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekkha. And the book also includes the explanations on the Karaniya Metta Sutta, the 11 benefits of practicing loving kindness, as well as the practice of metta, loving kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic joy or gladness, and upeka equanimity. So this book, this book, Brahma Vihara Dhamma, is worth to read. The explanations on the practice of for Brahma Vihara is comprehensive. Then the second question, good evening, Bhante. May you be well, happy, and peaceful. When we radiate metta to all beings, presumably, this can include unseen beings. Who and what are these unseen beings? Thank you. So in the teachings of Karanya Metta Sutta, in the fourth stanzas and the fifth stanzas, the Buddha explains the objects of loving kindness in these two stanzas. Whatever living beings that exist, without exceptions, big tremblings or unshakable, long or big or medium size, or short or small or plums. Ye kechi panabutati tasawa tawara wanawasesa dikawa yewa mahanta majima rasaka anukatula. So this is a fourth stanza. Then the fifth stanza, ditawa yewa adita yewa dure wasanti avidure Bhutawa Sambhave Siva Sabba Sata Bantu Sukitata. The word Dita means have been seen. Dita. Adita means those being have not yet seen. But some translated this word adita as an unseen being. The translation is not precise. So dita means meditators have seen these beings in the past. Adita means those beings, meditators have not seen those beings. Maybe these beings are staying far away, or staying in another village, in other places. So those seen or not seen, those dwelling far or near, those born or those seeking rebirth, may all beings be happy mentally and physically. So without exceptions, meditators should develop the thoughts of loving kindness towards all these objects. So meditators have not seen certain beings. So certain beings include beings in the 31 planes of existence. You have not seen, for example, people staying in Africa, those people staying in Australia and so on. So here sometimes people think unseen beings, maybe unseen beings here to them are, for example, ghosts. Um, but in this discourse, adita means meditators have not seen certain beings. So meditators should not lift up them. It doesn't mean that when meditators have not seen beings or have not seen this person, then they would lift up them in their practice of loving kindness. That's why some meditators who think that in the practice of loving kindness, they must visualize the objects. So meditators need to visualize the object, then definitely they must have seen those beings in order to visualize them. Sometimes some meditators might not have seen some of the friends for a long time. Then they may find difficult to visualize them. So they may spend a lot of time putting forth a lot of effort in order to visualize a friend or group of friends whom the meditators have not seen for a long time or many years. So if those beings that were not seen by meditators in the past, then they will not be able to practice loving kindness. In that way, they only practice loving kindness with a limit or with the boundaries. But those who know the practice of loving kindness correctly, if that loving kindness meditators is required, for example, to practice to a person whom he or she has not yet met before. If there's a name, there's enough for him or her to arouse the thoughts of loving kindness for that person. So meditators have to bear in mind the word dita and adita. Dita means meditators have seen this being. Adita means meditators have not seen these beings in their life or in the past. So meditators should not lift them up, should also include them in their thoughts of loving kindness. Then the third question. Good evening, Bhante. This morning you spoke about contemplation to overcome hatred or anger towards an enemy. You spoke about the contemplation of the ownership of karma. When do we do this contemplation? Will it be during the metta meditation or after we had ended the metta meditations? So when loving kindness meditators could not overcome the feeling of resentment or aversion towards the enemy during the practice, then they may, if the feeling of anger or hatred overpowers the meditators, the meditators may stop the practice of metta and may do this contemplation of the ownership of karma. So when meditators are developing the thoughts loving kindness from one category to next category until the fourth category. If the thoughts of loving kindness is not well developed, then they will encounter these obstacles or obstruction. There's dosa. So, in accordance with the practice, first of all, meditators should go back to the good observing kindness. For example, a respected friends or respected teacher in the first categories, and cultivate the thoughts of loving kindness as strong as possible towards respected friends or respected teachers. Then they should carry forward the same thoughts of loving kindness from the respected teachers towards the enemies. So when at the beginning of the practice of loving kindness towards an enemy, the thoughts of loving kindness that was carried forward from respected teacher or respected friends could be quite strong. Then the thoughts of feeling of loving kindness could be weakening. Then meditators is overpowered by anger or hatred towards that object, the enemy. Then meditators may have to go back to the object in the first category, or even the object in the second categories. So when meditators have been practicing back and forth in this way, yet they could not overcome the feeling of hatred, aversion towards that enemy, then they may have to stop the practice. For example, when meditators are practicing loving kindness towards an enemy, then anger has arisen, or the feeling hatred has arisen, and it's getting stronger and stronger. Meditators overpowered by anger or hatred, then they may stop the practice and do this contemplation of the ownership of karma. Besides doing this contemplation, sometimes meditators also do this contemplation. For example, when meditators realize that he or she has to meet a hostile person in his work, then before meeting him, meditators may practice loving kindness towards that hostile person, and sometimes they may also contemplate on the ownership of karma. By this contemplation of this ownership of karma, meditators may be able to exercise some degree of control over the arising of anger or hatred when the meditators meet that hostile person. So when meditators are overpowered by anger or hatred during the practice of loving kindness towards an enemy, they may have to stop at that time so that the mind is not defiled by hatred. It's because the mental defilements of hatred and anger can become a cause um, for a cause to commit evils. Um, when meditators could not uh, control over the feelings of anger, hatred, then sometimes they may create unwholesome mental karma. For example, cursing or scolding that object, the enemy or hostile persons. Um, so meditators sometimes have to stop the practice so that the mind will not commit unwholesome mental karma, such as thoughts of ill will or wishing harm. Then the fourth question, dear Bhante, uh, please help to answer my following questions. When we spread loving kindness, in what way should we spread it? Should it be done in short sentence and repeat them? For example, may I be happy, may I be happy, may I be happy. Then, may I be free from sorrows, may I be free from sorrows, may I be free from sorrows. Then, may I be in good health, may I be good health, may I in good health, and then, and so on. Or by practicing in this way with long sentences and repeat them. May I be happy, may I be free from sorrows, may I be in good health, may I be happy, may I be free from sorrows, may I be in good health. Please advise. Thank you very much. Um, so during the practice of loving kindness meditation, meditators have to choose one mental wish or two mental wishes or the maximum three mental wishes. Each mental wish should not too long, so it can be short. So in other words, meditators choose three mental wishes. For example, in this case, be happy is a mental wish, is one process of the thoughts of loving kindness. May be free from sorrows is a second mental wish. And the third may be in good health. So meditators have to generate these three different mental wishes, one after another, eh, like as a set. So may I be happy, may I be free from sorrows, may I be in good health, may I be happy, may I be free from sorrows, may I in good health. So meditators keep on developing the thoughts of loving kindness um, for themselves by repeating these three mental wishes, one after another. Um, then when they begin to practice loving kindness towards the object, then they shall generate the three different thoughts loving kindness one after another. For example, may my parents be happy, may my parents be free from sorrows, may my parents in good health, may my parents be happy, may my parents be free from sorrow, may my parents in good health. So wishing the welfare happiness of the object parents again for at least 10 minutes, 50 minutes, or as long as possible. Um, so this is the way of the practice. Um, um, of loving kindness. Yeah. Then the next question is not a question. It's not really a question. So, Suki Hotu Bante, I know of an elderly Buddhist friend, D, whose youngest brothers and his wife lived with her for past 30 years. She is kind enough not to charge them rents. They help with cooking and minor maintenance of house. About 24 years ago, wife started to be unfriendly towards D and talks bad about her to others. Brothers also sometimes raised his voice at her, although there was no quarrels or provocations. D is a meditator and tries to radiate metta to them and bears with it with patience. She is no longer angry with their attitude, but they hardly speak to her, which makes her feel very sad and disappointed. She feels it is very bad karma for them. She's indeed helping professions. Her practice of metta is not as systematic as what Bhante has taught. I shall share this with her. Thank you very much, Bhante, for your great teachings. Um, uh, then the next question. Um, Good evening, Bhante. May you be well, happy, and peaceful. When we radiate metta to the fourth category objects, the hostile person or enemy, can it be beneficial to or improve our relationship? If yes, may I know why? Or is this more on to cultivate our own loving kindness only? Or thank you. Um, um, when we practice loving kindness well um, to the objects of the fourth categories, um, most of the time we can improve the relationship with them. It's because of our uh, wholesome thoughts. So these wholesome thoughts, when these wholesome thoughts of loving kindness is strong enough, then as if it generates a positive force or energies that can be felt or perceived by the object of loving kindness. For example, a hostile enemy or a hostile person or enemy. Um, um, it is quite similar to the feelings of anger, hatred, aversion. For example, the mind of a person is full of unwholesome thoughts, thoughts of ill will or cursing in the mind. The mind is overpowered or overwhelmed by dosa or anger, hatred, aversion. So if anyone who goes near to that person, so one may feel uneasy or the atmosphere is not pleasant, it's not good to stay on. So it doesn't mean that the other person has related the thoughts of ill will or anger, aversion to the other person. Is because the mind of that person is full of unwholesome thoughts, thoughts of ill will, wishing harm, cursing the mind, all power by strong unwholesome mental states or evil factors, evil mental factors of hatred. So when such unwholesome thoughts is very strong, then as if the mind is sending out this negative energy, which can be felt or perceived by anyone who come near to that person. So one who goes near to that person, it doesn't mean that one will become angry. One's mind will be overpowered by hatred as well. It's not possible. We are the owners of our own mind. When we say that we are the owners of our own karma, we can say that we are the owners of mind, because all karmas begins from the mind. All karma begins with the intention of the mind or mental volitions. So the word volition means one is able or capable to choose the actions. So we can choose our actions by directing the mind to the state of wholesomeness. So it's possible to change the relationship, unless the other person, the other person where the character of that person is hardened, we say hardened with these hatreds or anger. So as you know, everyone can shape their characters or molding their characters through the practice of meditation, such as loving kindness meditation, mindfulness meditation. Then they should translate the thoughts of loving kindness into their conduct, mental conducts, verbal conducts, and physical conducts. So when one develop when one develop the thoughts of loving kindness again and again, when one put forth effort to shape or to develop their own good conducts again and again, then these qualities, good qualities, we say becomes the characters. So if one is not willing to change, then it's not possible to change a person. So similarly, during the Buddha's time, the Buddha is endowed with Maha Karuna, great compassion, full of loving kindness. Yet the Buddha is not able to change Devadatta. But The most important point in the practice is that loving kindness meditators have changed themselves by the practice loving kindness or cultivation of loving kindness. In other words, you who practice the loving kindness shall gain the 11 benefits of loving kindness. You shall overcome the opposites. There's the dosa, one of the three roots of evil. This is more important, but in general, most loving kindness meditators shall be able to experience changes in their relationship um, with their enemies, or someone who is not friendly, and so on. But most important, you yourself have changed. Then the last question, dear Bhante, may I know if you are kind, be tolerant, practice patience with loving thoughts to hostile person? Will these people take advantage on us? So I have explained about removing the boundaries with the simile in the talk last evening. So it doesn't mean that one who practices loving kindness will allow others to take advantage of him or her. Then in that way, the thoughts of loving kindness is not yet well developed. The scriptures, the various discourses on the practice of loving kindness emphasize on the practice of equal thoughts of loving kindness or equal feelings of loving kindness. So in the practice of loving kindness, it doesn't mean that meditators have to develop more loving kindness or more thoughts of loving kindness or feeling of loving kindness towards other than himself or herself. It doesn't mean that loving kindness meditators have to cultivate stronger and stronger thoughts loving kindness for themselves than for others. The scriptures emphasize equal feeling of loving kindness. So meditators should not allow others to take advantage because one is a loving kindness meditators. For example, in the office, everyone has to do their work or their duties. So if another colleague is lazy, did not complete his work on time or efficiently, always one that colleagues always want to pass his duties or responsibility to you. Then it doesn't mean that as a loving kindness meditators, you have to take over the duties, responsibilities without valid reasons. So you may take him as an object of loving kindness, and you should translate your thoughts of loving kindness towards that colleagues. For example, advising him or teaching him to work efficiently so that he could complete his work efficiently. So this is the practice of loving kindness. So uh, we, uh, we have answered all the questions. Is there any more questions or doubts? We shall now open to the floor.
Any meditators, do we have any question? You can use the Zoom raise hand function. We have the question from Sister Siu Im Te. You may unmute and begin to speak, Sister.
Good evening, Bhante. May you be well and happy. Now, just now, when you say about the wishes, the package, you said a maximum of 3 wishes, but when we do our 528 directions, we are actually doing 4, right? You're saying harm, then, so, but you said 3, so I'm a bit confused. Can you please clarify, Bhante? Thank you.
These 528 ways of loving kindness is taught in the book Pati Sambhita Magga. So if we follow strictly the teachings of Pati Sambhita Magga, so we develop the thoughts of loving kindness with these 4 mental wishes. But before we could attain the absorption concentration and have removed the boundaries or barriers, we may begin the practice with 2 wishes or 3 wishes. But when you have these absorbed concentrations and skillful practice, then you can practice well with these 4 mental wishes in the 528 ways of loving kindness. So we follow the way as taught by the ancient teachers closely in this case.
So Bhante, the 528 and the 4 wishes is for more advanced practitioners, is it?
Yes, because most of the senior meditation masters say that ideally meditators have removed the boundaries or barriers, then they can begin to the practice of these 528 ways of loving kindness.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Any more questions? Yes, we have a question from Wei Shang. Please unmute.
Good evening, Bhante. I have a quick question that is an extension from my my question earlier about unseen beings. So coming from a scientific background, you know, besides the ghost that you mentioned, that was really interesting. I also thought about, stuff like bacteria or at the moment, COVID.
Virus.
And yes, and I was just thinking that, can we ready Metta towards the viruses because they are still beings. And a lot of people actually keep blaming the virus as well. But, if you look at the bigger picture, it's actually us as manusa, human, we are the one to disturb their balance first. And now they're coming back for us, so then you know, can we then do metta to all, you know, microscopic beings? Thank you, Bhante.
In the teachings, the word satta or satta means beings uh, who have a consciousness, who have the feeling or feeling. So they, in other words, they have the mind and the feeling. So that's why they are known as satta, or beings, or sometimes translated as living beings or sentient beings. So when we practice loving kindness to all beings, it refers to those who have the mind, who have the feelings. So the virus or the germs might not be qualified as a satta in the teaching. But if one wishes to include them as a beings, one can include them as a beings, but it's not tenable to take them as a specific object of loving kindness. So our concern is towards the beings who have the mind or consciousness and who have the feeling. That means they are able to feel pain, they will feel presence or neutral feelings. So this is our concern in the practice of loving kindness. Is our concern in the practice of Dharma.
Thank you, Bhante.
Mrs. Wong, do you have another question?
Yes. This is a good evening, Bhante, extension to Valerie's question, because we are from the science background. That means when we say we are doing metta to all beings, so we follow the 31 planes of existence. So we say Sabbe Satta Supita Hontu is actually doesn't include the virus and germs. Is it, unless we are, I mean, just generally for fun, maybe during Buddha's category of 31 planes, they haven't come to it yet. I don't know. I'm just asking. Curious. Thank you.
You may include them in the what called general object, all beings, because as I explained just now, the word satta is defined as beings who have mind or consciousness and who have feelings. So you may include them if you wish to include them.
Bhante, actually my opinion, yes. I think it's no harm to include, because I think science also haven't come to a stage whether they've decided whether virus and all these things are living or not living with consciousness. They haven't come to the investigation side of the mind. You know, just my opinion. Thank you.
The most important point is able or enable you to develop your thoughts of loving kindness.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Bhante, now we have the question from Ms. Lim.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Actually, we are also advised when doing radiating metta not to radiate metta to the opposite sex. Well, this evening I was just feeling to radiate metta to my brother, who had been having a sort of a slight problem with the family, and we haven't been in communication. So I had radiated to him, and I could do it okay. But is it still wrong to radiate metta to the opposite sex, especially to your brother? Thank you, Bhante.
It's not wrong, as long as meditators can differentiate clearly what is pema. I have experienced tanha pema, love with affections, for example, between husband and wife, a man and woman, and geha sita pema, the love with some attachments between the family members. So as long as you know clearly your intention of practicing metta, for example, to your brothers, and it doesn't cause attachments or selfish love to arise, then you may practice metta towards him. Those loving kindness meditators have been successful in the practice loving kindness. Then they shall be able to practice to a person who is not same sex with him or her. But those who are not yet successful, they have to be clear of the intention of practicing loving kindness to the opposite sex. They have to be clear, able to differentiate the feelings of pema or tanha, which are unwholesome mental states, and the wholesome state of loving kindness, the pure thoughts of loving kindness. So when you can make such clear distinctions, then you shall be able to practice loving kindness, for example, to your brothers, and so on.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Bhante, you have the question from Sister Jane. Sister Jane, please unmute yourself.
Namo Buddhaya, Bhante.
Yeah.
I have a question. Last night, after our session and when I'm about to sleep, I do my sitting as usual for a while. And after that, I lie down and I start to do metta. And then after that, it's feel like dreaming, but I'm doing the metta in the dream, but I know that it's very clear that I know it's not it's not me, you know, it's not the you know the it's not in the real world it's a dream or what. And then after that I just want to know what type of mental condition is that, and then I just know and I ask myself to be aware and to wake up, and I really see that, oh, just now it's not really me who are doing. And I just want to know what type of mental conditions is that, Bhante. Thank you.
So when there's a dreams, the mind or the consciousness is not at the state of what called bhavanga. When the mind or consciousness is a state of bhavanga, then the mind is not able to sense or perceive any sense object at all. But when there's a dreams, we can say that the mind or consciousness is no longer in the state of bhavanga. But sometimes in the dreams, the mind or consciousness is not so clear. So sometimes meditators who have been practicing loving kindness for a long time, sometimes it's possible that meditators realize that the mind also doing the metta in the dreams. So as soon as you want to come out from that state, when you want to come out from that state, actually there's enough mental process and mental states wanting to come out. You you be aware of that dreams, the metta in dreams. Then the previous mental states you will disappear with the arising of the current one. So sometimes due to the habit of the practice of meditation, meditators may find themselves meditating in the dreams. So it's just like mindfulness meditators who been practicing mindfulness before getting into sleep. So if there's a dream arising in the sleep, then mindfulness meditators you begin to mindful of the dreams. Then the dreams disappear. Then the mind will go into bhavanga state again. So if one who practices metta, loving kindness, until falling to sleep, so sometimes due to instigation of some object, the mind is waking up. Then sometimes meditators realize the mind is doing metta at the time. So meditators, if meditators be aware of it, want to come out from that state, then that state will disappear.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Bhante, we have a question from Brother Melvin. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Bhante. I'd like to check for the contemplation of metta during the ownership of karma. How do I check if I'm contemplating or I've already started to indulge in thinking? What's the thing that I should do to check myself?
Contemplation means you are putting intentional effort to contemplate that. For example, I am the owners of my karma. I shall inherit the results, either painful results or pleasant results of my evil karmas and wholesome karma respectively. So you are very much aware that you have this intention. Doing this contemplation in line with your teachings, or sometimes you can modify the contemplations to suit your practice. So you are very much aware that you are doing this contemplation dharma. It's not thinking about something else. For example, an incident that happened in the office in the morning and so on. So this contemplation is a contemplation of the Dharma, not thinking of other matters.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you, Bhante.
Any more question from the floor?
Mrs. Cole, there's one in the chat. I think she don't know how to raise hands, you said, right? You check the chat.
Okay.
I think that was from Melvin. He already answered.
I think it's from Melvin, I think, the
Yeah,
chat.
that's right. I already prompted him.
Okay. Any more question? Bhante, I think there is no more question.
Mhm.
Bhante has something to add on?
Oh, so it's important to practice loving kindness correctly. So in one of the discourses about two kinds of thoughts. Actually, these two kinds of thoughts. One is wrong thoughts. The other is right thoughts. So although the thoughts here in Pali is known as vitaka, but vitaka is a synonym to the word sankappa. So as you know, the second factors of Noble Eightfold Path is a Samma Sankappa. So there are two kinds of thoughts, wrong thoughts and right thoughts. So the wrong thoughts are thoughts of sensual desire, thoughts of ill will, and thoughts of cruelty. Then the wholesome thoughts or right thoughts are thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of non-will, which is thoughts of loving kindness, and thoughts of non-cruelty, which is thoughts of compassion. So in this discourse, in one of the paragraphs, the Buddha say, whatever one frequently thinks and ponders upon, that will become the inclination of one's mind. If one frequently thinks and ponders upon the thoughts of non-evil, or in other words, thoughts of loving kindness, then one would have abandoned the thoughts of ill will and cultivate the thoughts of loving kindness. So in that way, when one put effort to cultivate these thoughts of loving kindness again and again, then it shall become the inclination of the mind. So similarly, if one is able to translate the thoughts of loving kindness into actions, and when one is able to do it again and again, then it shall become a habit. And when the habit is well developed, then it becomes a character of a person. So you might have heard this saying before. Sow a thought. For example, may so and so be well and happy, peaceful. So we are sowing these thoughts of loving kindness in the mind. And and you reap a deed, is because when one has generated the thoughts, then these thoughts will lead to actions or deeds. So or deed, one reaps a habit. Of course, one must do it constantly, continuously. And so a habit, you reap a character. So a character, you reap a destiny. So what? So that's why I said earlier, we can cultivate or mold our characters. The characters is not fixed, cannot be changed at all. So we can practice, for example, thoughts of loving kindness, thoughts of compassion when we are associating with friends, Dharma friends, family members, and so on. But when we are alone, then we can put forth effort to cultivate wisdoms by the practice of Satipatthana meditation, the practice of four foundation of mindfulness. So in other words, we are keeping the practice of Dharma, our spiritual training in a balance. Sometimes some meditators emphasize very much on their own spiritual goals, their own enlightenments. So when they only focus all their attention, all their effort in order to attain their self-enlightenments, they might neglect the other practice, especially the practice of loving kindness and compassion. So similarly, if one only focuses the effort and time on the practice of loving kindness and compassion, we are putting any effort or little bit time on the practice of Satipatthana meditations. Then one will never have the chance to attain enlightenment. So we have to keep a balance between the practice of insight, cultivation of insight for the sake of one's own welfare and happiness. We also have to practice loving kindness and compassion for the sake of welfare and happiness of others. In that way, our practice of Dharma will not become a selfish practice. It's because the practice is being kept in balance between wisdoms, and the other side is the cultivation of loving kindness and compassion. That's why in the teachings of the Noble Four Path, as you know, the first two factors, right understanding, samadhi, is in fact panya, or similar to panya. And the second factor, sama sankappa, right thoughts. These two factors belong to the wisdom group. And the next three factors, right speech, right actions, right livelihood. The three factors belong to the group of the training immorality. In the last three factors of the path, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, belongs to the group of concentrations. So a noble one who is endowed with wisdoms, and this wisdom constitute the practice of a right understanding and right thoughts. And the right thoughts consist of thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of non-ill will, in other words, thoughts of loving kindness, and thoughts of non-cruelty, or thoughts of compassion. So meditators need to put forth effort to keep this practice in balance in this way. So I shall quote a sutta. This discourse is about line etched in stone. This discourse is also found in one of the books in the Abhidhamma Pitaka. So if you understand this discourse, then you know yourself, your progress in the practice of loving kindness. So the Buddha said there are these three kinds of person found existing in the world. The first person who is like a line etched in a stone. Etched means like a line etched in stones means like cutting a line on the stone. So the second person is a person who is like a line etched in the ground. And the third person is a person who is like a line etched in waters. So what does these three similes explain? So what kind of person is like a line etched in stone? So there are some persons often get angry, and their anger persists for a long time. So the Buddha said, just as a line etched in stone, it's not quickly erased by the wind and water, but persists for a long time. Similarly, the anger of person, when there's anger, aversion towards certain person, some people will bear grudge in their heart. Sometimes this feeling of grudge will even last till the last moment of life, or even will be born with them in the next existence. So similarly, there are some person often get angry, and their anger persists for a long time. So this is called a person who is like a line etched in stones. Then the second person, what kind of person is like a line edge in the ground. So there's some person often get angry, but the anger does not persist for a long time. Just like a line edge in the ground is quickly erased by the wind and water and does not persist for a long time. So similarly, there are some persons in the world, though often get angry, but their anger does not persist for a long time. So this is called a person who is like a line edge in the ground. Then what kind of person is like a line edge in the waters? There are some persons in the world, even when spoken to roughly and harshly, in disagreeable ways, but such persons remain in friendly terms with those who antagonize them. They mingle well with those who antagonize them, or when upon seeing them, greeting them, good morning, and so on. So just as a line edge in water quickly disappear and doesn't persist for a long time, so too there are some person in this world when spoken to roughly, harshly, or with abusive words in a disagreeable ways, but these persons remain in friendly terms with them, mingles with them, and greeting them. So this called a person who is like a line edge in waters. So similarly, you practice loving kindness well, then you should know that you shall become a person like a line edge in the ground, or like a line edge in water. Um, so if you practice constantly, continuously, the thoughts of loving kindness, then the mind shall become soft or gentle, and also shall become a more and more uh, uh, patient person. So when you become more and more patient person, you may be able to live or work with others in harmony, peacefully, and it can also become a good supporting condition to your cultivation of a wisdoms by the practice of satipatthana meditation. So I wish all meditators shall continue their practice of loving kindness, which is one of the three kinds of right thoughts, and also put forth effort to develop the wisdoms or right understanding by the practice of satipatthana meditation, and with the purification of moral conducts by observing the basic 5 moral precepts well, and you shall achieve or realize your spiritual goals. There's the ultimate purity of mind in this way life, and live in ultimate bliss.
Bhante, there's a question from Sister Barbara Yin in connection to her earlier question. Bhante, referring to the case of the brother and sister-in-law, do you think that it's better that they live happily away of each other so that it will not create so much suffering and ill will and bad karma for everyone? Thank you, Bhante.
It depends on the condition. Living separately is merely running away from the problems, especially the problem lying the mind, which is caused by dosa. So as long as there's not much of a ill will between two of them, in other words, none of them is overpowered by dosa, ill will, and to the extent of quarrels or fighting, and there is no creations of unwholesome karma, then one may have to face with one's own mind, one's own enemy in the mind. But sometimes the situations is beyond controls and involves conflicts, fighting, and it also involves, for example, evil speech, both uttering abusive speech or speech to each other harshly with rude words. They could not live in harmony at all. And sometimes it's good that they stay away from each other for a period of time. But they need to realize the danger of dosa. So the other way to solve the problem is if possible, both of them could sit down and open up, have a frank discussions about the problems between them, why the relationship is not harmony, and so on. So we learn to face with the problems, especially the problem of the mind. But sometimes the external condition is beyond control. Then one may have to stay away, but one should not stay away forever. One should continue the practice of loving kindness at another place, putting forth effort to cultivate stronger and stronger thoughts of loving kindness. Then one should be able to overcome one's own enmity. One should be able to overcome the hostility of others. So in the discourse of Karametta Sutta, as well as the other discourse, one should practice loving kindness or develop the thoughts of loving kindness without enmity and without hostilities. So here, enmity refers to one's own enemy, your own enemy. It means one's own feeling of hatred towards others. But the word hostility here refers to external enemy. That means others who become hostile or showing their hostilities towards you as a loving kindness meditators. So that's why one who is successful in the practice of loving kindness, then one is free from this feeling of enmity, as well as free from hostility from externals. So we learn to face with the problems, especially facing our own enemy in the mind. Only by facing our own enemy, able to conquer our own enemies in the mind, then we shall become truly a victor in the Dharma. So depending on condition, both of them might have to consider stay away. But if the unpleasant conditions is beyond control, there's no thoughts of ill will. Thoughts of ill means scolding the mind or cursing, which is a commission of unwholesome mental karma, and so on. Then one learn to be patient with this unpleasant condition. One should follow the teachings of the Buddha as much possible, especially by undertaking the training in cultivations of the thoughts of loving kindness, compassion, and with mindfulness.
Sadhu, 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 Bhante, for the teachings and guidance. May I ask Bhante's permission to give an appreciation speech on behalf of the organizing committee?
Yes.
Good evening, Bhante and all the meditators. This evening is the last session of our online Metta meditation in daily life retreat. First, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Bhante Nyanaramsi for accepting our invitation to conduct this retreat. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu to Bhante for your patient and untiring dedication in teaching and guiding us in the practice of Metta meditation. May Bhante be well, healthy, and safe always, and continue to propagate the Dharma for the well-being and happiness of many. Our sincere thanks to all the meditators for your support and commitment to this retreat. Your heartful participation humbles us and is an endless source of motivation and inspiration to all. As mentioned before, this is our very first time organizing an online retreat, and we had only 2 weeks to get it running. So please forgive us for any of our shortcomings, especially for tonight because we cannot run the program on time because of the internet problem. And maybe it is an opportunity for all of us to practice patience. We hope to see you again in our future program, and wishing everyone good health, peace, and happiness, and make sweet progress in the Dharma. Sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu, sadhu.
Now we shall do the asking for forgiveness together, okay? Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Ratana tahaye pama dehina dwara tahayena katang sabang aparatang kamatu no bante. Acariye pama dehina dwara tahayena katang sabang aparatang kamatu no bante. If I have done wrong to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, or the teachers by this speech or thought, either in their present or absent, remember or not, with intention or without, may I be forgiven so that it will not obstruct my practice in the future.
Aham wo kamami tumehi pime kamitabam.
Kamama Bhante. Asking for forgiveness from each other. If I have done anything wrong through heedlessness by deed, speech, and thought to anyone, may I be forgiven so that I may live in peace and happiness. I also forgive anyone who may have done wrong to me by deed, speech, and thought, so that they may live in peace and happiness. I wish all of you be well, happy, and peaceful. Attain your spiritual goal, enlightenment soon. Now we shall proceed to do the honoring and the making of aspiration. Imaya Dhammanu Dhammapati Patiya Buddhang Pujemi. With this practice that conforms to the Dharma, I honor the Buddha. Imaya Dhammanu Dhammapati Patiya Dhammang Pujemi. With this practice that conforms to the Dharma, I honor the Dharma. Imaya Dhammanu Dhammapati Patiya Sanghang Pujemi. With this practice that conforms to the Dharma, I honor the Sangha. Imaya Dhammanu Dhammapati Patiya Mata Pitaro Pujemi. With this practice that conforms to the Dharma, I honor my parents. Imaya Dhammanu Dhammapati Patiya Acariye Pujemi. With this practice that conforms to the Dharma, I honor my teachers. Aspirations. Ada imaya pati patiya jati jara vyadi maranama parimuci sami. With the meditation practice, may I be liberated from the universal suffering of birth, decay, sickness, and death. Idame punyang asawakaya wahang hotu. May these merits of mine lead me to the extinction of mental things. Idame punyang dibanasa pacayo hotu. May these merits of mine be a condition to attain enlightenment, cessation from the cycle of birth and death. Sadhu, sadhu, Sadhu. Now respectfully, we shall invite Bhante to lead us in the sharing and dedication of merits.
So now we shall dedicate the merits accrued from the practice of morality, loving kindness meditation, Dharma discussion, or Dharma Sakacya, and other merits, the merits in the organizing of this Metta in daily life, and other merits with our parents, teachers, all sentient beings, friends, relatives, departed beings, and Deva. Please repeat after me. Imano punya bagam.
Imano punyang bagang.
Mata pitu nanca.
Mata pitu nanca.
Acariya nanca.
Acariya nanca.
Sapa sata nanca.
Sabba sata nanca.
Sapa mita nanca.
Sabba mita nanca.
Sapa nyati nanca.
Sabba nyati nanca.
Sapa peta nanca.
Sabba peta nanca.
Sapa dewata nanca.
Sabba dewata nanca.
Bajema.
Bajema.
Sabe sata.
Sabbe sata.
Sukita hontu.
Sukita hontu.
Then we shall dedicate all these merits to our departed relatives, departed friends, departed teachers. Idame nyatinam hotu.
Idame yatinang hotu.
Sukita hontu nyatayo.
Sukita hontu nyatayo.
Idame nyatinam hotu.
Idame yatinang hotu.
Sukita hontu nyatayo.
Sukita hontu nyatayo.
Idame nyatinam hotu.
Idame yatinang hotu.
Sukita hontu nyatayo.
Sukita hontu nyatayo.
Sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu. Now, respectfully, we shall invite Bhante to do the chanting of protective verses.
Yam dunimitam awamanggalang cha. Yo cha manapo sakuna sasado. Papagaho dusupinam akantam. Buddha nubawena vinasamintu. Yam dunimitam awamanggalang cha. Yo cha manapo sakuna sasado. Papagaho dusupinam akantam. Dhammanubhavena vinasamintu. Yam dunimitam awamanggalang cha. Yo cha manapo sakuna sasado. Papagaho dusupinam akantam. Sanghanubhavena vinasamintu. Bhavatu sabba manggarang rakantu sabba dewata. Sabba buddha nubhavena sada suki bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabba manggarang rakantu sabba dewata. Sabba dhamma nubhavena sada suki bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabba manggarang rakantu sabba dewata. Sabba sangha nubhavena sada suki bhavantu te, sapitiyo vivajantu, soko rogo vinasatu, mate bhavantuandaraya, suki dika yuko bhava, abhivadana silesa, nityang udapachayino, Chattaro Dhamma Vadanti Ayuwano Sukhang Balang.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now let us pay homage to the Triple Gem. Buddhang pujemi, Dhammang pujemi, Sanghang pujemi, Thank you, everyone, for joining us in this evening session. I hope all of you have benefited from this meditation retreat. We hope to see you again. Thank you. Sukhi Hotu, may you be well, happy, and peaceful always. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.